Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jayo Gaur Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Yashodanandana Raja Janarayana Yashodanandana Raja Janarayana Yamuna Tirao Anachari Yamuna Tirao Anachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Raja Janarayana Yashodanandana Raja Janarayana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Så, Hare Krishna. Nu har jag lite saker jag skulle behöva där som jag inte tog i fönstret. Det är okej. Ja, böcker och min lilla iPad.
Ska du ha alla tre?
Ja, visst. Tänkte det. Jai, tack så mycket. Okay, thank you.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm just going to read text number 29 in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5. That's the last text of that chapter. And Krishna speaks about himself like this. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. And the translation: a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. We'll read a purport by Srila Prabhupada. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world. But they don't know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary of all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because He is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than He. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shvetashvatar Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. This 5th chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is non-different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. It is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial toward anyone. Everyone depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above-mentioned passions, remains factually in the transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The eightfold yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. But these only preface perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Karma Yoga, or actions in Krishna consciousness. The verse is Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvamam Shantim Richati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all the living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashachalesha Tarine Mukam Karote Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripata Mahamande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. So, the peace formula is given here by Krishna, basically saying that if you ignore him, there will be no peace. I was waiting today at Triangeln for the bus, and there was this huge demonstration. It looks like for the Palestinian people in Gaza. And they were screaming and shouting, and it was very aggressive. And, there was so much violence in the air in that demonstration. And that is because they don't understand the peace formula. Shanti, everybody knows the word Shanti, right? Om Shanti Shanti. Whenever you do a fire sacrifice, you chant Shanti, you call upon peace on everybody. And Krishna explains that unless we understand that Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifice and austerities, understand that he is the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, it's not possible to attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Because whatever we do is ultimately meant for Krishna. We may even work hard day and night to attain some fruits for our labor. We work, and then at the end of the month we get a paycheck, and then we pay our rent and food, and we try to enjoy for the rest. But all this endeavor that we did, we have to do because of the material nature. Material nature, Maya, she makes the laws, she makes the rules, and you have to struggle so much to gain whatever little thing from Maya. And who is controlling Maya? That's Krishna. So ultimately, strictly speaking, if you serve Maya, you indirectly serve Krishna. But you do it with the wrong mentality. You do it because you want to enjoy the fruit of your endeavor. If you endeavor and let Krishna enjoy, then that's the real benefit. In the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Neha bikrama nashusti pratyamvaya navijate svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhajat. He says that in this endeavor, same word is used to endeavor, there's no loss, no diminution. And when Krishna says this endeavor, that means endeavor in yoga, endeavor in trying to contact Krishna. So that endeavor, there's no loss, because that's on a spiritual platform. That's transcendental. But in the endeavor of trying to please his external energy, so she will reduce your suffering temporarily. All whatever you acquire, you have a big house, a car, bank balance, whatever, at the moment of death, everything is lost. Because it has to do with the misconception that you are this body and that you want to enjoy the temporary selfish enjoyments of this world. Now, that's the reason basically why we have been put in the world. We have some envy against God. We think that, why should Krishna enjoy? I should enjoy, Why can't I enjoy directly? That's not the way it works. Because we are made to express love and devotion to Krishna and reciprocate on the transcendental platform, not in separation, and I mean material separation. Separation in consciousness. Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Bhava means the mood of the devotee. If you think about Krishna, if he is in your thoughts, and then you offer something to Krishna, like patram pushpam palam toyam, yome bhaktya, says bhaktya mam, Yome bhaktya prayachati. If you offer it with bhakti, if your mood is bhakti, when you offer to Krishna, he will accept. But if the mood is selfish enjoyment, then there will be nothing. So Krishna, he knows the mood, he knows the heart of everybody. He states that Ishvara Sarvabhuta, he says that he is the Lord and Master of everyone, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, the Lord of all beings. Hridarshe Yunatishtate. He sits in the heart of everyone. So because Krishna is there as your eternal friend, he can read your thoughts. He can know when you're happy, when you're miserable, or whatever you have in your mind. But he doesn't interfere. He's the Antaryami, he's the super soul. And there is a very beautiful dialogue, if I may find it here, in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the story of King Puranjana. I don't know, did you reach that far in your reading?
I think I'm through with that.
You're through with that conversation when the Brahmana speaks to the queen, the widow of King Puranjana.
I am past that.
You passed that.
Yes.
That's very sweet.
He's dead now.
He's dead and she's mourning. And then, this is in the chapter 28. It's called Puranjana, which is like a symbol for the material body. And the body died, and what is left is the queen, who is lamenting for the death of her husband. And then comes a Brahmana to comfort. He says like this: one Brahmana, who was an old friend of King Puranjana, because he was sitting in the heart of the body, came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words. The Brahmana inquired as follows: who are you? Whose wife or daughter are you? Who is the man lying here? It appears that you are lamenting for this dead body. Don't you recognize me? I'm your eternal friend. You may remember that many times in the past you have consulted me. The Brahmana continued, my dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember that in the past you had a very intimate friend? Unfortunately, you gave up my company and accepted a position as an enjoyer of this material world. My dear gentle friend, both you and I are exactly like two swans. We live together in the same heart, which is just like the Manasa lake. Although we have been living together for many thousands of years, we are still far away from our original home. My dear friend, you are now my very same friend. Since you left me, you have become more and more materialistic. And not seeing me, you have been traveling in different forms throughout this material world, which was created by some woman. Just by some woman, that means Maya Devi. The Maya Devi is manifest in this material world. And in that city, the material body, there are 5 gardens, 9 gates, 1 protector, 3 apartments, 6 families, 5 stores, 5 material elements, and 1 woman who is the lord of the house. So then the Supersoul continues giving philosophical instruction to the illusioned spirit soul. But it's a beautiful way to introduce himself. We've been traveling together since time immemorial, in the same heart, like this. So Krishna is Suridam Sarvabhutanam, like the first text I read. He is the friend of all living beings. So it's not only the human being that has a super soul next to them, like 2 birds in a tree. Shvetashvatar Chandogya Upanishad, they explain this, that one is the soul very busy to try to enjoy the different fruits of that tree. Some are sweet and some are very bitter, bad tasting. And the other bird is the super soul, simply watching what's going on and not doing anything until the first soul turns to the super soul for advice and knowledge. So therefore Krishna is the friend of all living beings. Even if they are against him, he's neutral. He explains that. Samoham sarvabhutasho, namedveshyoste napriyaha. I'm equal to everybody because I don't have any friends or any enemies. But of course, if somebody turns to him, he becomes more inclined. It's just a question of reciprocation. So that is Krishna. And now we can understand we are on a journey in this material world, and Krishna is our eternal companion on this journey, on this travel. If you look at the beautiful conversation in the Chaitanya Charitamrita between Ramananda Roy and Mahaprabhu, he is nobody else than Sri Krishna himself and Srimati Radharani. So they first met. It was a very sweet meeting because both were very happy to see one another. Ramananda Roy is the pure devotee, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They were embracing and then didn't want to separate. But Mahaprabhu was invited for lunch, and it was the end of the day, but they agreed to meet in the evening. So they came back, and Ramananda Roy Mahaprabhu sat down to speak very intimate discussions about Krishna. And Mahaprabhu started by saying, please quote a verse that gives the meaning of life. And then Ramananda Roy said, the meaning of life is to perform your duty, to perform your dharma for the pleasure of Vishnu. And he was quoting this Varnacharapata, famous verse from I think it's the Vishnu Purana. So he started off by saying that if you follow your dharma according to the Varnashram system, as a man or woman, Stri or Pungsa, or as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and you do it perfectly, then you are very pleasing to Vishnu, like this. But Mahaprabhu said, that's all right, but it's external. He used the word bahyam. Bahyam means external, just like we were talking the other day about bahir mukha, those whose face are turned to the external energy. So Mahaprabhu said, this is external, because the Varnashram Dharma is basically material. It's to have a structured and organized, civilized society where people are following the laws, following some basic moral and ethic rules. Doesn't necessarily have to do much with spirituality, but by following it, you are pleasing to the Lord, and He will give you some mercy, some sukriti, by which you can gradually develop bhakti, like this. Right? So that's the first step on the journey. But then next step, Ramananda Roy, because Mahaprabhu sits in the heart of Ramananda Roy too, so he made him speak and go deeper and deeper, meaning further and further on the path back home, back to Godhead. So the next step was karma yoga. That means that you're not only following the rules and work nicely for your own enjoyment. That's the idea. You do your dharma, then you get wealth, artha, and then you can enjoy kama. Dharma, artha, kama, and then moksha. But if you do your work for the pleasure of Krishna, yagya tat kamanon yatram lokayam karma bandhana, that when you work, you think about Krishna, and you can offer the results of the work. You give something to Krishna, some donation or some service or something like this in your dharma. That's higher than simply following the rules. And then next step is that you basically give up Varnashram Dharma. You only work in bhakti, Kevala bhakti. That means you spend your whole time working. Bhakti may be mixed with something, but you do bhakti. So he was quoting another verses to support, and Mahaprabhu says, yes, that's all right, but go further. So further on the journey. Then he was speaking about jnana misra bhakti. That means bhakti mixed with knowledge. You know that this is a place of misery. You know that you're not this material world. You know that you're part of the samsara, in the cycle of birth and death, and everybody has to go through birth, disease, and old age, and we are exposed to different kinds of suffering. The law of karma is there. You have knowledge about the absolute, so you are engaged in bhakti, but it's mixed with jnana. Huh? But when it's not mixed with karma and it's not mixed with jnana, then it's shuddha, it's pure, it's only bhakti. Huh? And then on that platform, the Shuddha Bhakti, that means you're basically liberated. You don't suffer anymore. You experience the pure spiritual happiness of Brahman, Brahma Saukyam Tvanantam, unending happiness. But then comes the next step, because Mahaprabhu was already telling Ramananda Roy, go further, go further. When you develop, passive attraction for Krishna and positive attraction as a servant, dasya ras, then we'll start to talk about bhava. What is the mood of the devotee? If the mood is subservient service, he is in the dasya mood. And then he can become friend with Krishna, where both Krishna and the devotee forgets about the divinity, the almighty, the all-knowing aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then you're in the Sakya mood, the friendly mood. And Mahaprabhu says, go on further. And then he was quoting verses about the Vatsalya mood, how you can be protector of the Lord, like a parent or an elder relative, like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, or the uncles, like this. And Mahaprabhu says, go further, go further. This is a journey, And then he said, Madhurya Ras, you can be like the gopis, have romantic love to the Lord. And at this stage, it's a good place to stop, but it moves on, because that's the bhava of the devotee. It enters into Mahabhava, the great mood of Srimati Radharani, and it goes further in service and separation, which is very, very elevated. So we shouldn't even go there. But you can see how the journey in this material world, once you start simply by being a civilized human being, it will bring you higher and higher and higher and higher, like this. And Krishna, he is like your travel guide. He's in your heart and he knows your mood. Because if you're on a karma yoga platform, you may understand that if I do my dharma and do good deeds, I will get some reward. I will get some fruits. Because Krishna will give, or the devas, the demigods will give something which I can use for my enjoyment. We are enjoying spirits, you see, because if we don't enjoy, we suffer, we are bored. So there are different kinds of enjoyment. We're talking about tamasic enjoyment. People think I can enjoy in the mode of ignorance by taking drugs or alcohol or eating meat or whatever. But enjoyment is, besides the fact that it's temporary, enjoyment in tamagun is destructive. It destroys you. And enjoyment in rajagun, that's not destructive, but it's selfish. Because you enjoy because you want, I want this, I want that. In tamagun, you enjoy and you don't care. I get drunk, I don't care. I take drugs, I don't care. Like this. And in rajagun, you're passionately attached to selfish enjoyment. Enjoyment in sattvagun, in the mode of goodness, that enjoyment, it uplifts you. It lifts you further, and it doesn't give you any sinful reactions, because you enjoy in the mode of goodness by cleanliness, honesty, etc., like that. But the real enjoyment, ananda, that's happening on the transcendental plane, where we belong as spirit souls. So that is unmotivated. We are just giving pleasure to Krishna, and pleasure comes back automatically. And I will explain this. Krishna sits in the heart, and he knows your mood. And one name of Krishna is Bhava Grahi. Grahi means the one who grasps, he catches. So Bhava means the mood. So Krishna sees the mood of his devotee. He takes that mood. Yeah? So if you're doing bhakti with some other motives to get the fruits, to get some personal selfish enjoyment, or you may worship the deity out of some pride. Yeah, I know how to worship, I do the mechanic thing. Krishna knows that. And he will take the good parts. He will take the good parts like this, because he's Bhava Grahi. Devotee, this is a beautiful prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Saragrahi Vaishnava soul, thou art but spirit. Saragrahi, it's not Bhavagrahi, that's Saragrahi, means the one who grasps the essence. And the essence of all worship, of everything spiritual, the essence is Krishna. It's Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna says in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, That Vedaish cha sarvai aham eva vedyo. Vedanta krit eva vid eva chaham. He's the compiler of the Vedas. He puts it all together. He's the knower of the Vedas. And he is the goal of Vedas. The goal of the Vedas is to know Krishna. And that is the essence. And a Vaishnava knows the essence. He or she grasps the essence like this. So they make a nice couple, the Bhava Grahi and the Sara Grahi, because the devotee only wants Krishna, and Krishna only wants the love and the devotion of the devotee. So even if a devotee, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, offers some water, a leaf, a flower, or a fruit, Krishna doesn't accept unless Yome Bhakta Prachati. You offer it in the right mood. And even there was I don't remember if it was the wife of Vidura or somebody in the Mahabharata. She was a great devotee. She came to Krishna and wanted to offer him a banana. So she peeled the banana, threw away the banana, and gave the peel to Krishna. And he didn't care. And they were both like so much in devotional love. So he accepted that. So let's say you have two people. One person is, this may sound a little brutal, but it proves a point. And that is, one person is a fruit vendor selling fruits and flowers, but that person takes all the money and uses it for his own enjoyment. Doesn't give anything to Krishna. And then you have a butcher, somebody who's slaughtering animals, but gives something to God, to Krishna. That butcher is a little bit better. Why? You may think this is ridiculous. But he is on the right path. By this deed, he will gradually lose the impetus of working with meat or whatever he does and become more and more pure. The fruit vendor could do the same, but he didn't or she didn't. That's a work more in the mode of goodness, to work with flowers and fruits. But it's stagnant, it stays here. There is no trajectory. But with the butcher, there is a trajectory. Sounds controversial, doesn't it? But therefore Krishna says, in this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. So there has to be endeavor. We have to try. I want to please Krishna. I want to worship him. Even if you do it imperfectly. Because Krishna is Bhavagrahi. He knows your heart. Even if you make mistakes. If you have that mood. If you do something perfectly, but you're not having the mood of trying to please Krishna. You have some other motive. That's not as good. So even if you're a beginner, I just, from my own life, I got attracted to Krishna many years ago, and somebody told me, you have to offer your food. Okay, but then fortunately I was vegetarian already, so I made pasta with tomato sauce. And I didn't know any mantras, and I didn't have a special plate for Krishna or whatever. I just thought, okay, I'll do this because they told me. I put all the pasta on the big plate, and I had a picture of Prabhupada and Krishna, and then I said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram. And then, so at least you did this little thing, and hopefully it's a little bit better. So what I'm saying is, somebody may dress as a devotee with tilak and, sikha and everything, but it's not on the trajectory. Maybe there's some sinful activity even going on in the background. There's no endeavor anymore. So a high position is not the sign of a Vaishnava. The sign of a Vaishnava is the endeavor, how much he tries. Another example from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kola Vecha Sridhara, very poor, very simple. He was just having a small garden where he was growing banana trees, and he took some bark and leaves and he was selling them. In India, you serve prasadam on banana leaves. It's a perfect, what do you call this, engångsartikel, the perfect one-time, disposable. So he was selling that for, some low price. And Mahaprabhu, Supreme Personality of Godhead, came there himself. Why? because Kolavecha Sridhar used half of his income in the worship of Mother Ganga. I just sent you a very nice documentary movie that you should all watch. It's made by a devotee from Spain, beautifully describing the glories of Mother Ganga, the river in India, all the people that worship her and like that. So Kolavecha Sridhar did that. You know, he spent half for his family, for his maintenance, but the other half he spent for the worship of Mother Ganga. And because of that, it was very simple. And Mahaprabhu came there regularly, and he was kind of arguing with him and tried to negotiate the price and put it down, you know. I will just pay half. I don't pay full price, you know. Like in India, they sell you something and they say, yes, you are my friend. For you, I make no profit. Of course they make profit, otherwise how can you survive? But it's a way of relating to people. So there is a margin. So Mahaprabhu was bargaining on the margin, and sometimes he just came there and stole his things. He was shoplifting. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was shoplifting. And Kolavecha Sridhar, in his mood, in his bhava, he just accepted, oh my Lord, okay, please take whatever you want. So Mahaprabhu told him, by your simplicity, you have conquered me, conquered the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His name is Ajit. Ajit means whom nobody can conquer. But the Vaishnava can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead by simple devotion. So even if you make something very complex and perfect, if you don't have the right mood, you know, means you have some affection and love for God, and specifically for his devotees. Since Krishna says, he who claims that he's my devotee is actually not my devotee, but he who says that he is the devotee of my devotee, he's my devotee. So Krishna likes service to his devotees more than is pleased by direct service. So if you see somebody with a poor attitude towards devotees, you know, not service attitude, or speaking unfavorably or behaving in an envious or criticizing way, you should give the mercy to this person. You know, some or another, give the blessings so that he or she can make advancement from that neophyte stage and actually develop some love and compassion for people and attachment to Krishna, you know, simplicity. Prabhupada used to say that Krishna consciousness is very simple for the simple-minded, but it's very complicated for the crooked-minded. So we just make it simple. Kirtan, reading, prasad, worship. It doesn't have to take much in that. And I had some books here, but I wanted to offer them to some of the guests here. But because the first thing you do when you meet people who are a little bit interested, just a little curious, that's all what it takes. A little bit of Shraddha. And not even that, you know, like Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, they gave Krishna to culprits like Jagai and Madhava. We are not on that platform. But if we meet somebody who is at least not disturbed by Krishna, one can offer them a book. And this particular book, I like. It's one young man, Bob Cohen, who's a peace worker. He's in the middle of the 70s. He met Srila Prabhupada at Ganges in Sridhar Mayapur, and he was just sitting down with Prabhupada and asking questions, you know, like neophyte questions about life, about God. And they compiled it in this book. It was called Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. And I remember in the Christmas of 1978, my parents invited guests, you know, and they were serving meat and they had alcohol, and I was already not taking these things, and I was, you know, reading and chanting a little bit and like that. So instead of spending, I politely asked them, do you mind if I don't take part of your little feast here, if I can do something else? Yes, that's fine. I said hello to all the guests, and I went up to my room where I had a typewriter, you know, those things they used to, before the computer was there. You were typing, a travel like a little bag you can bring on your journey. So I sat there and I translated this book. It was ecstatic. Yeah, instead of going down there and eating meat and drinking and stuff, I just spending Christmas evening, Christmas Day, then some days before New Year, sitting hour after hour translating this book. And then I sent the manuscript to the BBT, and they published it in Swedish. That was really nice. And then later on we did more publishing and more translation. And then many years later, they found some new material to include in the English version. So I got commissioned to, or actually not commissioned, I did it again for free, of course. So I translated it one more time. So this is the second edition translated. And it's ecstatic. So even if we don't, if we are a beginner and we don't really feel that I can speak so much about Krishna, welcome. You speak Swedish or English or? English, very good. Okay, you have some Swedish friends? Sorry? You have Swedish friends? No? Oh, that's good. Anyway. So anyway, I wanted to give this to some devotees that if you have some Swedish friends who are interesting, give the book, even if you don't feel like explaining the philosophy or anything. But just tell me, this is a very good book for a beginner in Krishna consciousness. First of all, you should read it yourself. That's a given. Read this book in English or in Swedish. And then when you read it, you know, this is what it's all about. You give it to somebody, say, take this book, read it. It gives you really good answers. And if possible, encourage the person to give a little donation, whatever, 20, 40 for this little book. Because then there is the reciprocation like that. Well, so, and then you can come back here and we can give you more books. So this is a way to spread Krishna consciousness, because the person explaining the knowledge is Srila Prabhupada, and it can't get any better than that. That's the good stuff. So we have it here. Whoever has Swedish friends can grab a book. Krishna sees this, and he says in the end of the Bhagavad Gita that there is no one more dear to him than somebody who shares the knowledge about Krishna with others. If the best thing you can do in this world is to give Krishna to others, that pleases him the most. If you give Krishna to the devotees, give Krishna to the innocent, may not be very useful to give it to envious people, to the demons, but at least whoever shows some interest. If you do that, you can be sure you get the mercy of both Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like that. Because he sits in your heart, he knows your heart, he knows your mood, he knows your endeavors, and he's very pleased when you work for him, speak about him, think about him, worship him, chant his names, cook for him, like this. Yeah. So I think that was about what I wanted to say today, and maybe there's some question or a comment. You have English books, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this gentleman would like to have some little to have a look. Later you can find out.
Yes.
Like a souvenir to bring home. We are speaking about Krishna consciousness. Is this the first time you're here? No? Maybe you're a practicing devotee already.
Maybe.
Tell me.
I have no idea.
You don't know? Well, that's a good start. That's what Arjuna said in the Bhagavad Gita to Krishna. Karpadya doshu pahasva bhavat. He says, Sishyastaham, I'm your disciple. Tell me what I should do. The worst attitude one has is, I know everything already. I don't have to listen. You can think what you want. We have people like that. I just saw one on the internet, on YouTube, one Indian who was, analyzing some Sanskrit and says that, anyway, don't want to go there. But if you have a humble attitude, that's the best. If you have no idea, it's fantastic. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but if you want to explain, to people that hardly don't believe in God, and you want to explain that Krishna is God, that's very difficult, I think.
Yeah, then you shouldn't do it.
I've been trying all my life.
Yeah, I know.
It is really, they can't imagine, a person that is blue and beautiful and everything.
Yeah, that's a big step for some people, many people. Try to meet them at the level they're at, because most people do have some belief in a higher power, after all. So you start off with a dialogue, and even on a scientific platform, even the scientists today are coming to the conclusion that there must be some kind of origin. There's the Bhaktivedanta Institute. There are some PhDs there today are beautifully explaining the astrophysics and stuff behind, the cosmic creation, which are actually theistic perspective, because all this outdated nonsense of the everything came from nothingness. One shouldn't say necessarily that the Big Bang is a nonsense. I know devotees used to do that, but Big Bang is actually a nice way to describe creation. Came from manifestation of matter, from the Pradhan, Mahatattva, all these things. There are people very expert in explaining this. But to say that everything came from nothing is ridiculous. Because what I used to tell scientifically minded people is that the principle of energy conservation, which is empiric law, says that you cannot create energy from nothing, and you cannot destroy energy into nothing. Energy simply transforms, from different states, the solid state to liquid to gas, and vice versa. So it's already there. All the ingredients of everything is there. It's eternal. So it already there's an aspect of the Almighty God is eternality. And that in itself blows people's mind, because we are used to think that everything has a beginning and an end, but it hasn't. Everything is eternal. We are eternal, and we don't transform. We are the same because we're conscious. We belong to the internal energy, the Chit Shakti. But everything else around us belongs to the external energy, the Sat Shakti in the form of Bahiranga, the external. So that transforms. Everything is transformed spirit, but it appears to have a beginning and an end. You can talk to people like that, write a few points down. And Einstein, he says that everything that exists is energy. E equals mc squared. So everything that we perceive is energy. And energy is just transforming. That's Mahaprabhu's philosophy. The philosophy of was it Vishishtadvaita, I think it's called. Vishishtadvaita. Transformation of energy. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Simultaneous oneness and difference. So it's all there, but one has to give it a thought. And then gradually one can come to understand that the ultimate aspect of the Supreme Truth is not the Brahman, it's not the Paramatma, it's the Bhagavan, the person. Satchit Ananda Vigraha. It has a form. As a matter of fact, it has many unlimited forms. Some are blue, some are green, some are yellow, some are white, some are red. Some in the animal form, some in the bird form, like this. There is no limit. But Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan, Krishna. That's the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the two-handed form. Krishna's two, Bhagavan Swayam. All the incarnations emanate from him, like that. So it's a path, and Krishna is your travel guide in your heart and in the heart of the person you talk to. So, and from him comes Mata Smritir Jnanam, comes remember, Apohanam, illusion or forgetfulness is given by Krishna, because our original state is Krishna conscious. So we can't even forget Krishna unless he gives that forgetfulness. And he does that because of our mood anomaly. We have some kind of, what do you call this? Sinnesstämningsstörning. We don't see Krishna as the enjoyer and the object of love. That's the backside of the free will. So then he gives you forgetfulness, but he also gives you knowledge. And he gives you memory, that you remember. He gives you inspiration. He gives you impulse. He's Mama Varpana Vartanta. Everybody follows my path. So wherever you want to go, Krishna designs a path, and he gives you direct and go there, go here, and then you will reach maybe what you are desiring, if it's your karma or if you're deserving, like this.
Can I have one quick more question?
Yeah, please.
Because I have my grandchild at home now,
Uh-huh.
It's, almost 20.
The young man, yeah?
Huh?
The young man.
Yeah.
Okay, he's 20 or something.
Yeah, he will be 20 now.
Okay.
But he's busy all the time. But some, he says Hare Krishna when he comes and goes and stuff like that. But we had the discussion about this time and age. I tried to explain Kali Yuga, because the history of the world, the Ice Age and all that. How do we explain that now is Kali Yuga since 5,000 years ago and stuff like that? And what was before Kali Yuga? Since we had the Ice Age and everything, it was not the Golden Age. It was not the Golden Age. It was the age before Kali Yuga. It was,
You have four ages.
Yeah.
It's one kalpa. This is Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
And what you're describing is state of the climate. It doesn't say much about the inhabitants or what was going on during that. It says something about the climate in certain places that they haven't been able to make some findings. So it's kind of difficult to draw conclusions of what kind of inhabitants or people were populating those age. And science is relatively new if you consider the historic perspective. Like one day of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 years, which is an awful lot of,
1 day.
Yeah, one day in Brahma. So the climate is not really the main thing. It's just a little thing that natural sciences believe they have been able to discover about the planet. Been drilling through the ice, and they have different methods based on projection, sense perception, which is not absolute knowledge, but it's kind of verification. Sometimes because the senses have defects, you conclude the wrong thing. And there is also always a margin of error that you have to compensate for in your scientific models. So you can explain from the perspective of the scriptures, because it doesn't really contradict the presence of an ice age or stone age or bronze age or whatever age, middle age, doesn't contradict the presentation in the Shastras, that they say different things. They say the same things but in different ways. When the scientific theoretical physics or astrophysics speak about the Big Bang, they speak about the manifestation of the universe, but from a different perspective. But when they speak about it came from nothing, then they're simply speculating. They have no idea. And they're contradicting other laws of nature by saying so. Because spirit cannot come from matter. So something comes from something, and matter comes from spirit. It's as easy as that, by plain deduction. So I think you just give him some good food, and whenever he has a question, you give him a simple answer. Perhaps if you find a good book, if he reads Swedish, does he?
Yeah.
Then he should have one of those. Absolutely. And if you can inspire him to read it, and maybe pay you like 20 crowns for it or something, that's very good, But if you give a 19-year-old person something by force, he will definitely reject it. No, I have to go to the disco. It has to be on his terms,
But now he has a girlfriend.
Oh yeah, maybe she's receptive. I don't know. You'll find out.
We'll see.
Yeah, you'll see.
Just the curiosity in some way.
Yeah.
If they are curious about something, just this way, it is much more easy.
But now he's just
Open the
curious
door
about the
little.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
one day he will kind of get tired of that too, to some degree. But if you have this kind of topic, you give them some good food, prasadam, and don't shove it down their throat, because that's goes the other way around.
He has known me all this time.
So he followed you, and you followed him, and yeah.
That I'm chanting
Yeah.
at the altar.
He doesn't have a problem with that, I see.
He has no
No.
problem with that.
Because I once, in Gustav Adolfs Torg, we had a big, beautiful center. You were there, temple, second floor. And I received a school class, around 25, 30 young students. And I gave the class to them. And at the end, there was one girl sitting in the back, was very intelligent, gave some good question, a little challenging. But I understand there was something there. So after the class, I was just talking to her and saying, good questions, And as we spoke, she said, well, I'm really an atheist. She said, I don't believe in God. Oh, really? But you have so good questions. So I was like, And then she told me both her mom and her dad was priests in the Swedish state church. So she probably got it from a young age. It was just at the teenager simply rebelled because it was too much. This is not the way you make people inspired and curious and want to find out more and maybe develop some affection and love for somebody else. You can just speak very nicely about that person. If I tell you, you have to be affectionate to Mohini, you have to, we have to, Mohini, she's a very nice lady actually. She does this and she does that. Oh, really? Yeah, she's a very good cook. And can I taste? This is the way to invoke curiosity and attraction, rather than, it's been like this in many religions, that you have to obey, you have to surrender, otherwise you will burn in hell, and you have to fear God, you have to fear the wrath. It's not in any not any religion is presenting God as some angry, old, psychopathic, vengeful guy. It's not there. It's a manufacture by some people who want to destroy religion from inside. Because if you look at God as something you have to be afraid of, if I don't follow, then you will burn in hell, then nobody wants to approach that.
When I tell my son and his wife in New Zealand about their son here, and I said that he's cleaning his room, making his bed, washing dishes, making laundry. I mean, it's more clean than when I'm by myself, And they say, is this the same person that left, So I don't know. Now my home is really nice all the time. So
maybe he's been watching this, what's his name, Jordan Peterson on the internet. He's a funny guy. He wrote a book called something like, I don't remember. He said, clean your room, start there.
really,
Well, in a sense, it's like dharma. You start by being an honest person, not lying or stealing, and behaving in nice and a civilized manner. And this way you will get some good positive effect.
It's a good quality.
Yeah, it's a good
shower
quality.
every day.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So it's a beginning. He follows my rules.
Yeah, they say that cleanliness is very close to godliness, Very good. Yeah.
If no one have question, I
I
have
have-
one question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Please,
have
yeah.
one consideration. In general, it's very difficult to draw any conversation towards godly matters, because the people like to joke around, to tell about the weather, anything, but not something sophisticated. This is like informal.
Your personal experience.
Huh?
Your personal experience.
I personally do not dare do this. To do this.
Not to everyone.
Yes.
No, just very select people sometimes. Yeah.
So I wonder if there's any kind of way to draw that conversation towards these topics.
I would say by personal example. I mean, you seem to be a nice, intelligent gentleman, and if you speak in a way, maybe not even directly, but you're a truthful person, and maybe you can tease them a little bit, going into an area. Do you ever think about, if something happens after death, or believe in reincarnation, or whatever? There can be some opportunity, and then you can just detect their interest and bring it a little further, like this. So, but you're absolutely right. One has to be selective, because personally, my experience is also this, that most people are just, I want to enjoy, I want to, be superficial, joke about this and that, chasing women, chasing men, whatever it is, get drunk. So there's zero interest for these existential matters. But if you have the desire, you will become expert quickly. Krishna will give you from inside the intelligence. It says in the Gita, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Pritipurvakam. He gives you the intelligence to do this better and better if you have a desire to. People will get benefit. If they speak about God only for 2 minutes, it may be the best 2 minutes of their entire life, and the rest is basically wasted on sense gratification and
When
superficial.
I worked with people like that,
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't drink coffee, I don't smoke, I don't do that, I don't do this, I try to survive with this kind of people,
Mhm.
but they get interested. Why don't you drink coffee? Why don't you do this and that?
Yes.
So you can begin, somehow, little bit.
That's a very good point, because being a civilized human being has nothing to do with spiritual life, nothing to do with God. It has to do with being civilized. But people nowadays, civilized people are very rare. So, and also those who don't drink coffee, eat meat, so it kind of catch the attention. Why don't you? Why don't you?
Yeah.
And then one can direct the talk a little bit. I don't eat meat because there's a principle called compassion in Buddhistic philosophy and in many of the great Eastern theistic philosophies. Compassion, that means that you don't cause unnecessary suffering to others. Oh, is that why you're so kind? Yes, suffering is not only physical, it's also verbal, you know. Or if you think violently of somebody, it's just a question before it manifests in action too. So this is just one way. By your example, even as a vegetarian, or if you don't take alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, in any context, spark some interest, and one can lead the discussion in that direction, like this.
Today it was one woman here. Today it
Mhm.
was one woman with her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and she know you from before where you have it there, the place.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was 12, yeah,
Mhm.
this time. And yeah, it was so interesting. She started to ask me again, and she know exactly you. And with
She was 12.
It was with her daughter
Uh-huh.
today in the activity
Uh-huh.
with the children.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And they respect this place, for example, just they know it not meat here.
Hmm.
And they buy some burek with spinach or cheese.
Yeah, they're
And
good.
just like this, like the example, we continue follow the other, they can see it after. And somehow
Because it's a journey. That was my speak about. It's a journey, starting from basically being a civilized human being and then working yourself gradually upwards. It's very ecstatic, the whole journey. You come to know more and more, and the Absolute is pleased with what you do and who you are. You get more and more insights. So this is highly recommended. You should take this. What's the name of your grandson?
Benjamin.
Benjamin. Yeah.
I have it at home. I have all the books.
You have.
Yeah.
He has a copy?
No.
No, so give it to him.
Not yet.
This is for him, from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
But this was so interesting what you
I would
told
say it's
us
from you.
today. Yeah, it is like if we have the desire.
Mhm.
This it was something. Yeah, to be more focused for myself. Yeah, to have this desire
Hmm.
to give this understanding to the others. Because sometimes we forget. I have.
Even as a human being, you know, if I'm trying to be your friend, you notice that,
Yeah.
isn't it? And if I'm trying to, you know, speak badly about you to somebody, and you notice that too. It's very obvious, even amongst us human beings. So God, who sits in your heart, if you try to please Him, that's the thing. That's a very deep verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita we were speaking about before, that your happiness, if you love somebody or have affection for some other person, your happiness is resting in the pleasure or happiness of the lovable object. So if I want to be your friend, I'm attracted to you, I have affection for you, I do something for you. And if you receive this, and I see this spark in your eyes and your smile, I become happy. You see? So this is the perfect arrangement between God and the devotees. We sometimes say it's like watering the root of a tree. You water the root, and then the whole tree becomes nourished by that, right? So the happiness in the object of love rests. The happiness in the abode, the one who feels the love, rests in the pleasure or the love of the object, right? So if you have true affection and love for your grandson, you want to give him the best, in the best way possible. And that's also my experience, that if you want to give something really good to somebody you love and have affection, and they reject it, you become broken. I say, what's wrong? Did I give the wrong thing? Or did I give it the wrong way? Or whatever. So the important thing is that you should find out what the person likes also. What do you like to do? What do you like to eat? I will come with a pescatore or capricciosa pizza to you, because I heard you like pizza. Great, so I give you pizza. And then you say, oh, pizza, nice and open. Oh, pescatore and capriccio. I don't eat meat, I don't eat fish, I'm sorry. So then I made a blunder. I should have found out first. You don't eat these things. So I learned about you. So the more you learn about the object of love, the better. Therefore, we have books to read. So now I know he likes margarita. So next time, I'm sure. So I give them, pizza. It's not capricciosa this time too. No, it's margarita. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes. Then he's happy.
Like margaritas.
Yeah, we all like margaritas, with extra mozzarella, right? So this is the secret. And that's the secret of service, because service means you manifest love and affection. You live with somebody in a relationship, you want to see that person happy. You don't think that, what's in it for me? Now she's not making me happy anymore, so I kick her out, I get another one. You invest. Like this old, what's his name, a psychiatrist or psychologist in the TV, Dr. Phil. He spoke to couples. And they say, yeah, but he's that, and no, she's like that, and I don't like when. And then I said, how much fun are you to be with? How much fun are you to be with? Yeah. I never thought about this. What do I do to invest in a relationship? So that's the whole secret of existence, that the exchange of love. The more I invest in loving you, the more love you get back automatically. And that could be a problem also. That's another story. But like the gopis or Daruka, he became so overwhelmed of loving ecstasy, so he started to shake. And that became a disturbance. He couldn't do his service. The gopis, they couldn't see because the eyes were blinking. They have to be open so I can see the beauty of the object of my love. Like this. Anyway, these are just very esoteric things. So it starts level by level, one thing at a time. So we're a little curious, and then we start to hang out with people like this. We learn more, we develop, refine our character, get more and more insight, more and more attachment or the truth. And because that's called sadhusanga, you hang out with devotees, you hang out with saintly people that do saintly things and say saintly things. So that's a good recipe. Birds of a feather.
That you have translated?
No, what does it say? It doesn't say anything, right? Because there was one point where we didn't put the name of the translator.
In your days you did.
Oh, it says actually. Here, under the stamp here. It says. You see.
Okay.
It was 2015. Anyway, but no, I don't write in the books. No, they are sacred. I don't write in the books.
Okay.
It's fine.
I can have my question just quickly. Yes, no problem.
With one exception. If you think it's going to be easier to have Benjamin read it, if you say you have a personally signed copy by the translator, then I will do it.
Yeah, and you can do it in English because he speaks perfect English.
Yeah, I can do that, yeah. Because it made me think about Krishna. He once became sick, and I think it was Maria Yashoda, somebody were becoming very upset. Oh, Krishna's sick, what shall we do, what shall we do? They brought the Pandit, the medical man, and then Krishna says, there's only one thing that can cure me, and that is if I can have the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis on my head. And that's very heavy. I mean, to put the dirt of your feet on the head of God, that's straight to a very bad place. So from the Vedic point of view, the point of view that tells you how many circles you should do here and there, that is a no, absolutely. This is what I said, like this is a sacred scripture because it contains knowledge of the absolute. So I shouldn't clutter it with writing. But for a higher purpose, the gopi says, anyway, if dust from our feet will cure Krishna, we'll give it. I don't care if we go to hell, as long as he can, So similarly, I can write something for Benjamin, if it makes it easier for you to make him read it. Yeah?
Maybe, it's just a wish.
No. It's a wish.
Yeah, it is no problem.
No,
I
no.
think it is quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question. My question.
It's with all good intention, because
Yeah.
Krishna is bhavagrahi. He knows your mind, he knows your intention.
Yeah.
So if you have a strong desire that he should become a devotee, he will give you intelligence how to cultivate that devotion.
I just want him to understand, believe in God, whatever, you know.
Yeah, well,
He doesn't become.
he has his free will, and that has to be respected.
Yeah.
And the worst thing one can do to another person is really to impose guilt, because guilt is not a good incentive. Guilt or fear doesn't bring about love. You know, we have this school in Malmö. It says in Swedish, "The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom." I would say the fear of God is the beginning of ignorance. Because if you're fearful of somebody, you may mechanically follow, but deep inside you carry some resentment. I want to do this, but why? If I do this, I will go to hell. You know, this God, oh, why did God kill my friend? You know, all these things. So no guilt, no shame, no fear. That doesn't encourage. The word Krishna means the all-attractive one. It means something is attracting you because of his beauty, of his pastimes, of the way he dresses, everything surrounding Krishna. That's the attractive. And somebody who can speak very nicely or represent Krishna also becomes, like Srila Prabhupada, was transparent, and everybody became attracted through him to Krishna because he was Krishna conscious. So this is the way. By personal example, that's number one. And then, as I said, if you can answer all the questions or present all the philosophies in the best way, give them a book, let them read, and if they then have questions, maybe it's easier to answer, I don't know. This became a bit long. Yeah, Emma, you had something, sorry.
No problem. Just I think it's quick.
Mm-hmm.
If we learn from the scriptures or mentors and gurus, and some people they learn quickly or little of them quickly, and some other they need to go through the experience.
Mm-hmm.
It is like they learn quickly or from the gurus. Already they experience it in the lives before, and this it is the reason.
Yeah, that's a very good reason.
Yeah.
Because Prabhupada says in the purport to that very verse I was quoting, that in this endeavor there is no loss, no diminution. He says that if you finish this life in 1%, the next life you start from 2. But even if you're the richest person in the world, everything will be taken away from you. The cars, the women, the gold, the house, everything will go with this body, except what you did for you, the spirit, the transcendental loving devotional service. So if you see somebody making quick advancement, most probably mean that he or she made a lot of advancement in the last life, but maybe didn't go all the way. But it could also mean something else. It means that you have a very strong desire in this lifetime. And it comes with 2 parts. One part is to do devotional service, to study, to worship, to pray, to meditate, to do all the things right. But it also means to avoid the bad stuff, the pitfalls. Like any process, you can push and push and push to reach your result. But unless you remove the obstacles, you can push a lot, but it will push back. So we have to get rid of bad qualities like pride and envy and anger, illusion, those which are weaknesses of the heart, that's called unwanted things. So therefore I said that to build a good character is very nice, because it makes it easier for you to make progress in spiritual life. If you're already a civilized person, you're respectful, honest, compassionate, friendly, clean, all these things. Because these are also obstacles to make progress in spiritual life. If you treat other people in a rude manner, they are also parts of God. It's actually stated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of the spiritual teachers, that one should treat everybody with respect, even those who are atheists. You can be polite, and in the bus or in the shop or whatever, doesn't mean that you become very intimate with them, but at least you you're polite and civilized. So that's a great advantage. Sometimes we even see devotees who are a bit rude and like that. That's not good. Prabhupada was not that like that, unless there was something really serious going on. So avoid the pitfalls. Avoid what we call offenses that can push you down in your progress. And
this is the individual conscious. They come again in the same conscious where they left, and they continue the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And this influence in the more in the other conscious or the other collective conscious, if we achieve something in our life, like in the family, she's asking. Somehow she's in this kind of conscious. She can influence the family or the society. And this we do where we change, or where we learn, or where we practice, not just ourselves. We influence in the collective.
Everybody has influence, even if you meet somebody in the street. So that's very true. And Krishna explains the technicalities. When a person dies, or when a body dies, he says, Yam yam vapi smaram chayan chat chat ante kalevaram. Ante means the end of time. Smaram, you bring your consciousness, because it's part of the subtle body. So when the gross body stops working, it dies, you and your subtle body, with your particular personality and your conscience, moves out, not bound by the laws of time and space anymore, and enters into another body. And just like if you like to drive a red Volvo, and then that red Volvo crashes and you have to put it to the junkyard, you have the preference. So next car you want to buy, I want to buy a red Volvo, maybe a newer one, because it's there in your subtle body. So this is how it works between death and the next birth. So if you have, maybe next life you will meet Benjamin in another shape or constellation, I don't know. It's a very complex, run by the material nature. So,
Thank you.
Okay, so should we finish?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
He was writing many books, and he was selling them in Alvik many years ago.
Okay, good.
But he was sitting there signing them.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
So
probably same
same
excuse that I have. It's for a higher purpose.
Yeah, but I mean,
He writes English or Swedish?
Alltså han pratar ju perfekt. Han har ju bott i Nya Zeeland i snart 7 år, så han pratar ju perfekt. Så det kanske är mera, du vet, challenging. Någon som skriver på engelska till mig.
Ska jag skriva det? Ja.
Du vet.
Benjamin Mr. writes.
Ja.
So, is that okay?